Ciao Fabri, welcome back in our podcast here
Ciao
on Mini
guys, ciao
Blazers.
ciao.
Today we speak about managers because it was a big day in terms of announcement, not yet announcement, but here we go. So let's start with the here we go of the day.
An announcement is coming because I think it's going to be 24 hours of announcements, especially at Chelsea, because Chelsea have found their new manager and it's going to be Xabi Alonso. Deal done, agreed and completed, even signed from what I'm hearing. So everything is also formally completed between Xabi Alonso and Chelsea. Xabi communicated in the last 48 hours to Chelsea that he was going to accept their proposal, a 4-year contract valid until June 2030. So everything done between Xabi Alonso and Chelsea. Contracts, documents, 4-year contract. The salary is also okay. They discussed about the project and how they are going to enter into the transfer window. So every single detail has been discussed between Xabi and Chelsea. There was a meeting, a secret meeting in London this week between a Chelsea hierarchy and Xabi Alonso to fix all the details of the contract. At the very beginning of the conversations, Xabi Alonso was still thinking about Premier League or maybe waiting for different leagues. But then when he met with Chelsea and when he also had the opportunity to understand about the project, Xabi Alonso said yes to this opportunity. He's super excited about that. And so Xabi Alonso to Chelsea is a done deal.
So the question is why Chelsea decided to go for Xabi Alonso, why he was the main candidate for them.
Yeah, look, because at the end of the day, Xabi Alonso is considered a perfect manager already since 2024. I can tell you, and I think there is proof of that, some podcasts we also recorded on here in 2024, 2 years ago, when Chelsea were considering the possibility to change the manager. Xabi Alonso was seen as part of the ideal candidates for the job. Then what happened, basically, is that Xabi Alonso in 2024 didn't want to entertain talks with any club because his plan was stay at Bayer Leverkusen and then go to Real Madrid. So the clear direction of his career was Real Madrid, and this is why Chelsea or any other side were not able to agree terms with Xabi Alonso. Was the same for Bayern, was the same for Liverpool. So Xabi plan was Real Madrid, but now Chelsea have the opportunity and had the opportunity to jump into this opportunity to get Xabi Alonso, and so they immediately decided to try to get it done. It was not easy, again, because Xabi Alonso is obviously very ambitious and already the Real Madrid chapter was a complicated one for him. So Xabi Alonso doesn't want to miss again. He really believes he can do special things in his next chapter, and this chapter is going to be at Chelsea.
Who were the other candidates in the short list of Chelsea for the summer?
Yeah, there were some ideas, some managers they considered. Xabi Alonso, again, was always the priority. Andoni Raiola was one of the names under consideration, but Chelsea were never fully convinced to go all in for Raiola. Marco Silva was really appreciated. The Portuguese manager at Fulham was under serious consideration, but then Chelsea obviously gave priority to Xabi Alonso. The third name on the list as a backup was also Oliver Glasner, who's going to leave Crystal Palace, and is a manager also appreciated by several clubs, and so Chelsea also had some conversations with people representing him. But then they decided to go for Xabi Alonso, and so all these conversations were part of a normal process. Obviously, when top clubs decide to change the manager, and clubs in general, they can have several candidates. They can decide internally who is the ideal man to lead the project, also because Chelsea has been a complicated couple of months after what happened with Liam Rosenior, so they couldn't miss on this one. But then when they had the chance to go for Xabi Alonso, there were no doubts at all.
What can we expect in terms of transfer window in the summer from Chelsea after appointing a manager like Xabi Alonso?
Manager is the correct word because Xabi Alonso is going to work at Chelsea as a manager, not as a head coach. And that's an important difference because Xabi Alonso will be involved, from what I heard, in the conversations about signings, exits, sales. So Xabi Alonso will be part of the process, also in the transfer window at Chelsea. So he's going to work on the pitch, but also off the pitch. Obviously, in some moments at Chelsea, this was one of the points that created some problems in the recent times, but Chelsea are prepared, first of all, to add experienced players to the squad, not only experienced players, but also experienced players to the talents they have and the talents they are tracking. But then Xabi Alonso is also going to be part of the conversation when it's time to pick the ideal player, understanding which position they want to add the signing. So Xavi will be involved, and Chelsea believe this is a really important point of this new appointment.
So Xabi Alonso to Chelsea means also that Arne Slot at Liverpool is going to be a long-term plan, because we always connected, right, Xabi Alonso with the Liverpool job as well.
Yeah, and I always say that despite all the rumors on Xabi Alonso and Liverpool, the reality is that Liverpool never reached out to Xabi Alonso this year, 2026. Then 2 years ago, okay, the connection and the feelings between Xabi and Liverpool as a former player, okay, of course, but there is nothing really concrete and nothing happened between Xabi Alonso and Liverpool in the recent months. So I can understand the frustration of Liverpool fans, and also today, if you see the statement of Mo Salah, well, it's not only the fans. There is a sentiment that this season has been too negative for Liverpool in terms of results, 20 defeats, not playing good football. So obviously it's been a complicated one. But at the same time, the reality is that the owners and the management are deciding. And the understanding is that so far, till this weekend, Liverpool never reached out to any other coach, Xabi Alonso, or any other manager. So they want to support Arne Slot, believe in Arne Slot. Then, if something is going to change in the next weeks, we will be here to update you. But at the moment, Liverpool didn't call Xabi Alonso because they believe in Arne Slot.
Talking about updates, you told us here in the podcast about the future of Manchester United and Michael Carrick. Do you have updates in that sense? So what can we expect now from United?
The update here is that Michael Carrick will stay at Manchester United, as we said here on the podcast on Wednesday. Everything is done. The direction has always been clear. I think we did many episodes of our podcast here on Many Blazers saying the chances of Michael Carrick staying at Manchester United as a permanent coach are increasing and increasing. And now those chances are 100% because Carrick signed his new contract at Manchester United. So new deal, 2 years, 2028, option until 2029, everything done. Man United very happy with Carrick, and when I say Man United is the management, the players, the top players, so the most influential, important players at Man United are very, very happy with Michael Carrick. And then Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who approved this decision to move forward with Michael Carrick. So everything is done, completed, signed. And so we wait for the official announcement. But I think Michael Carrick will address the fans at Old Trafford by telling them that he's going to stay and he's going to lead Man United into Champions League football as well next season.
Speaking of managers, also we had to talk about Jose Mourinho and his future at Real Madrid.
Get ready, because this is going to be the next one. I think it's going to be the next year we go. Any moment from now. But when I say moment, could be minutes, could be hours, could be days. It's just a matter of final approvals on the legal side of the contracts and then official statement. Here we go. And Jose Mourinho back to the Bernabeu. So get ready, because this story has been a long one also here on the pod since end of March, since also Real Madrid understood that it was time to change the manager and to replace Álvaro Arbeloa. And now it's very clear that the agreement with Jose Mourinho is almost done. It's just, again, the final approvals, and then Jose Mourinho will be the man for Real Madrid. Everything is set also in terms of transfer strategy. We say that for Xabi Alonso is going to be the same for Jose Mourinho. The conversation between Jose Mourinho and those close to Jose Mourinho with Real Madrid to express the initial ideas about what they want to do in the summer window, which kind of players they need, what kind of positions they need to cover, has already started. So it means that Mourinho is going to be the manager, and unless something completely crazy happens, Mourinho will lead Real Madrid next season. So a fantastic comeback and a deal that is going to be announced very soon.
What about Benfica? Because they also need to go for a new manager, right? If Mourinho is leaving.
Yes, and the favorite candidate for Benfica is Marco Silva, who is doing a very good job in England, has been doing a very good job for some time in England, at Fulham in the recent years and even before. So Marco Silva is considered the ideal candidate by Benfica. There is also another candidate, and this is Ruben Amorim, the former Manchester United manager. But Marco Silva at the moment is ahead of Amorim as the favorite to become the next Benfica coach. Then let's wait for the process. Obviously, it's a domino. They tried to get a new deal done for Mourinho. We said last week Benfica are going to offer a new contract, but Mourinho is waiting for Real Madrid, and Mourinho himself has confirmed that proposal arrived on Wednesday, but Jose Mourinho wants to wait for Real Madrid. And so Benfica are waiting for these final steps between Mourinho and Real Madrid, then Marco Silva ahead of Ruben Amorim in this race to become the next Benfica coach.
Speaking of Spanish teams, what about Barcelona? When can we expect Hansi Flick to sign a new deal with the club?
Next week, Hansi Flick will put pen to paper. Last week, Pini Zahavi, the agent of Hansi Flick, was in Barcelona to fix all the details of the new contract. Next week, Hansi Flick will put pen to paper. 2028 plus option till 29 is the contract for Hansi Flick. I can reveal to you that Barcelona were prepared, and the president Laporta loves Hansi Flick and was prepared to offer him a 5-year contract. But Hansi Flick said 2 years plus option is fine. Hansi Flick doesn't want to have too long contracts, and so everything agreed, everything done. Also, Lewandowski is leaving the club, and so it's going to be another important topic, what Barca are going to do. We are going to talk about that in the next episodes, because obviously there is going to be plenty of news about players, but this week is about managers, and so Hansi Flick will put pen to paper soon.
Last one for today, speaking about managers, what do you expect? More movements in the Premier League or nothing?
Yeah, I think there will be movements. First of all, for Mikel Arteta, who is going to negotiate a new contract at Arsenal after the end of the season. So now obviously it's time for Premier League title race and then Champions League final. Then Mikel Arteta will negotiate a new contract with Arsenal. Some conversations already started between February and March. And so I expect Arteta to sign a new contract at Arsenal this summer. That's my expectation. Then we have to see what happens with Iraola, because Crystal Palace are trying, but Iraola also has proposals from abroad, and now the Chelsea job is over. Unless there is something crazy happening in top clubs in England, Iraola could open doors to new opportunities. So let's see what's going to happen. And then keep an eye on Filipe Luis, Luis Felipe, because the surprising one could be this, because the former left back did a fantastic job at Flamengo, and he could be the surprise for the final positions as manager. Also in Premier League, there are some clubs really appreciating him, and so I think he could be the next surprising name to follow.
Thank you, Fabri, for today. Talk to you soon here in the podcast.
Thank you. Ciao.